based on a sealed indictment brought by the Southern District of New York. The contents of the indictment won't be known.
The life of rap star Sean Puffy Combs turned upside down as a new twist marked the federal probe connecting him to criminal activities. An anonymous source police officer said new evidence reached the FBI. And in response to this, Diddy's longtime lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, resigned abruptly yesterday. The case, which includes charges of racketing, sex trafficking, and various forms of violence, has been conducted for several months. However, this latest revelation shows this is a far bigger case than previously thought. These new materials are said to have been obtained by the FBI, who conducted extensive research on Combs' personal life and documents and videos taken during earlier raids this year. These raids were on his houses in Miami and Los Angeles, where it feels that he would be able to find some narcotics and records that could implicate him. As for now, Diddy has denied any of the charges, which he described as a result of law enforcement against blacks ramping up and intensified. However, with the recent revelation, the defense keeps trembling. Agnifilo, who boasts of handling high-profile cases involving high-profile clients, cited new evidence for why he wanted out. The consequences of such a resignation are huge. It also shows the severity of the new evidence and some issues that Diddy will now face in court without his experienced lawyer. Unfortunately for Diddy, this comes at the worst possible time, before several important hearings and the media riled up over the allegations. Of course, releasing some new materials by the FBI might have made it impossible for Agnifilo to continue defending Diddy, though those privy to the findings have it that the evidence combines text messages exchanged between Diddy and his alleged allies and incriminating statements from defectors and victims. These disclosures placed enormous pressure on Puff's defense lawyers, as it became much more difficult to defend him against these charges. The media has caught itself in the story in an attempt to explain what the new evidence could signify to the future of Diddy. A lawyer representing him for several years has recently decided to withdraw from the case, which calls into question the merits of the charges being laid against him. It also prophesies that the FBI investigation has entered the phase of more breakthroughs in the public domain. This development has shown those who follow the hip-hop icon news something they did not expect. Puff Daddy began as one of the most influential music artists, which he remains to this day, but he also expanded his activities to fashion, entertainment, and even charity. Still, these new allegations bring a massive threat, as he may lose the presidency and all of his businesses. The public was watching closely the case's progression against him, especially given some people's thoughts about whether the case would be the start of the dethroning of Diddy as the king of entertainment. Hence, coming at the new FBI evidence, the lawyer's resignation signals another aggressive turning point in the battle against the rapper Diddy. With new revelations, the risks for further developing Diddy's profile have become much higher. The FBI's investigation, a deep dive into the evidence. It is now known that the FBI, for several months, has been investigating Sean Diddy Combs for serious charges like racketeering, trafficking, and violent crimes. Back in February, the FBI conducted simultaneous searches on houses owned by Diddy in both Miami and Los Angeles, which yielded numerous items, including narcotics and lewd recordings. Though the recently emerged information seems crucial, thus overshadowing Diddy's positive image and extending the investigation of his alleged criminal activities. There has been an investigation of Sean Diddy Combs' allegations ranging for months now, and some very, very severe charges have been leveled at him, comprising racketeer, trafficking in women and girls for sex purposes, and violence, just to mention a few. Back in April, FBI agents staged simultaneous searches of Puff's residences in Miami and Los Angeles, where they seized narcotics and other disturbing materials, including recordings. The newly discovered evidence seems to be decisive. It questions Diddy's positive image of the public and evokes further investigation of his claimed criminal activity. The raids have reportedly shown the accused investigators a cache of materials that link the accused to the crimes. Indeed, one of the most concerning pieces of evidence concerns communications that directly link Diddy to the planning of unlawful actions. These activities, which comprise staged freak-offs, involved the prostitution of the CSWs and the movement of people across state borders that may have involved him in further sex trafficking business. These include maltreatment accounts, which include physical and emotional abuse, with witnesses and former business partners and collaborators coming forward to testify against Diddy for the FBI. Another form of evidence has also come in the form of digital media records and security cameras of Diddy and his employees. These are claimed to be materials that show a certain orchestration to cover these alleged activities and how Diddy uses his clout and money to cover things up. Combined with the testimonies of victims, these discoveries mean that, through threats and pressure, Diddy made sure that both himself and his fame remained protected from scandal and controversy. The FBI has also sought to establish relationships as far as Diddy is concerned, seeking to investigate the celebrity staff. So described in the indictment, many people who were in Diddy's proximity served as thugs that would ensure the victims complied with the orders the businessman had issued to them and thus defended his criminal activities. According to these results, one can conclude that Diddy was at the helm of the criminal organization that used people and exploited them for personal gain. So members of his entourage ensured that his criminal activities remained hidden from the public. New evidence seems to point to the fact that Diddy's legal woes are about to worsen. The scope of their focus and the gravity of the offenses, as defined by the FBI, suggest greater capacity and coordination. While legal processes continue, people expect more details about Diddy's misdemeanors to surface. This, combined with the recent resignation of Diddy's lawyer, gives a hint that the rapper could be in serious legal trouble soon. In this section, the authors examine the details of the FBI's work and the conclusion to this investigation. They discovered more and more information about it, which made people doubt whether Diddy was telling the truth or not, as well as the degree of his involvement in those crimes. Everyone looks forward to increased legal action with the mogul's economic assets and image at stake. The resignation of Diddy's lawyer, a turning point in the case. This remains perhaps one of the biggest twists in Diddy's endless court drama. Mark Agnifilo, his lawyer, quits. Agnifilo is a recognized defense attorney who has managed numerous high-profile and complex criminal litigations. Agnifilo still represented Diddy in the early stages of the probe. But when the FBI presented further evidence, Agnifilo agreed to resign, and his actions stunned the legal and entertainment worlds. So lawyers are now speculating whether this resignation may mean serious problems with the defense of Puff Daddy. Earlier, Agnifilo had proclaimed that Diddy is innocent, the charges are unjust, and the freak-offs are consensual between adult performers. However, the appearance of new evidence more incriminating than anticipated might have doomed the lawyer-client intercourse or changed Agnifilo's appraisal of the case prospects. This timing, coupled with the fact that it occurred shortly after the unsealing of the FBI's last evidence, may have simply tipped the balance and produced so much information against the defense that it could no longer effectively fight the prosecution. However, that action also invites questions about Diddy's possible involvement and how this case would transpire. This is especially so if it is a big-name lawyer like Agnifilo, and therefore, one would wager that when his resignation comes, it is because the case has assumed a new twist that his side might not like. Now that new material has been disclosed that had not been present during the initial stages of the case, Diddy has instructed his legal representatives to retain new counsel fit for handling the new evidence and persistently trying to exonerate him. The resignation also promises Diddy more legal woes shortly. This is common for defense attorneys to do. So when it is time for them to step down, it is probably due to a conflict of interest or lack of merits in the case to make a good outcome for the defense. Agnifilo's resignation might mean he thinks the case against Diddy is strong enough that he doesn't stand a chance. Tough subsequent moves to get a new legal team in place will be more important as this case moves forward. He is but to go to the next, more rigid level. So his selection of his additional attorney was a critical factor in the defense. As pressure from the FBI's findings and the community grows, Diddy risks finding someone willing to take such a turbulent and provocative case. This time changes the legal constellation. It is highly symbolic that Diddy lost his lawyer during the trial. It indicates that the chances of legal prosecution of Diddy are growing day by day, which means that the defense in the case is likely to have more heaped with damaging evidence that may emerge throughout the course of the investigation. The fans and the media in particular cannot help but wonder where exactly Puff Daddy went wrong and whether the much-hyped comeback sufficiently defended the drawing room impresario for what will come next. The FBI's role in uncovering new evidence. The role of the FBI was one of the most crucial developments in this case, and the newest revelation proving that the original course of the investigation was incorrect has become vital for the outcome when new evidence has changed everything. Federal agents built cases against the rapper for several months, recently searching his Los Angeles and Miami homes. These are some of the items they have recovered from the said searches and thus considered to have played a vital role in moving to elevate the charges against him from carjacking and pointing a firearm to narcotics firearms, as well as spoliation of evidence in the form of videos. The new evidence, said to include graphic audio and paper trail, has moved the case from sexual abuse to criminal conduct of trafficking, forced labor, and distribution of narcotics. This new revelation paints a grim picture of how far and wide Diddy's alleged undertaking might have been, since the corrupt authorities were used to shield him and his cronies from the rule of law for quite some time through bribery and threats. The FBI's findings also include alleged victim statements, and almost all of them report being exploited and coerced into providing their content. The victims have alleged that they were enticed with claims of fame or a date with a pop star, and then only tricked into performing in what should dubbed freak-off stunts, including jerk-off. Most of these women were filmed and recorded without their knowledge, and Diddy apparently used the footage against them and threatened to release the videos if they came forward. Moreover, examining the FBI case, it is possible to see how much money was involved in Diddy's affairs and how it acted as tissue for criminal actions. Thousands of dollars in cash were found, and papers suggesting several accomplices who helped in managing such businesses, including in procurement and transportation of victims, were identified. This has strengthened the case against Diddy, as the federal prosecutors now regard this not only as sexual misconduct but as a criminal enterprise. The evidence presented to the court by the FBI has been compiled over several months of work and has increased substantial pressure on Diddy's attorney. This sounds all too real, with video footage, physical evidence, and now victims of his heinous crimes coming forward to testify against him. This evidence poses several implications not only on the direct behavior of Diddy, but also on the potential increase in ranging out other personalities that may have direct links to him, sampling the various charges against all those who assisted him in his criminal activities. The lawyer representing Puffy and his entourage dismissed the allegations, calling new proof a misunderstanding and arguing that everyone involved in the acts was a consenting adult. Nevertheless, the weight of the evidence provided by the FBI in conjunction with the recent resignation of Diddy's attorney has changed the general public's mindset, making it difficult for his defense to continue peddling these falsehoods. The inquiry is far from drawn out, and as other subsequent events unravel, the consequences for Diddy and those implicated could be dire. The resignation's impact on the case. Perhaps its biggest twist is that Mark Agnifilo, who has been Puff Daddy's attorney for many years, has recently resigned. This decision was made soon after the FBI revealed more proof that incriminates Diddy for involvement in a string of unlawful activities such as racketeering, human trafficking, and substance dealing. Agnifilo's resignation has become a subject of debate in the courtroom as to whether the lawyer has lost confidence in the case to defend Puff Daddy. Agnifilo, who has famously represented the high profile, insisted he had consulted with Diddy as soon as the accusations began to emerge. He had recently tendered his resignation, citing the canning pressure exerted by the FBI by presenting loads of new evidence to him. These proof sources included tests detailing videotape, and substantive physical evidence, which continued to pressure Diddy to prove his innocence. The details that led to Agnifilo resignation remain unknown, but I guess this lawyer may have changed his mind on the case, as the charges are severe and accompanied by an overwhelming amount of evidence against the suspect. The resignation has confused Diddy's team, with many legal professionals in legal corridors celebrating that this could have been a critical moment during the trial. The switch in lawyers in the middle of the trial is considered a shakiness or a maneuver to prolong the trial, but it may have also highlighted a significant issue in Diddy's defense. As a result of this analysis, some believe that Agnifilo resigned not only for ethical reasons, but also because the strategy was becoming more and more delicate, especially after the FBI revelations. To Diddy, losing a veteran lawyer like Agnifilo is a big blow. When a person lacks an experienced lawyer, managing a net of charges is even more complicated. The case itself was severe and unsuitable for denial, but now public opinion is leaning against Diddy, and the case seems so much worse that he cannot easily fight against it. Some think so, claiming that such resignation could make the other witnesses or victims come forward, thinking the defense is vulnerable. It has also brought attention to who will handle the defense for Diddy in the future. Given such grave allegations on the horizon, his new lawyers will have to quickly get up to speed with the case and get into the position of handling the FBI's increasing body of proof. For now, there is still no one to replace Agnifilo, and because of this uncertainty, Diddy seems to be left alone in the courtroom, which poses threats to him. His friends and family feel anxious. Agnifilo's exit, however, shows how grave the allegations are and how hard it will be for the Puff Daddy to elude the intensifying legal troubles. While the resignation will make the already criticized and growing case even worse for the stars and leave Diddy with few options to protect themselves as the trial continues. Future days wait for big developments as Puff combs the country for new attorneys and readies himself for the next level of this rapidly evolving legal suit. To the role of new evidence in escalating the case, the appearance of new pieces of evidence in the affairs of the case against Sean Diddy Combs served as a turning point in the legal processes. These sources of fresh evidence are allegedly close accounts of people who allegedly witnessed the crimes, explicit messages, and videos from electronic devices and cameras that are said to implicate Diddy in the alleged offenses. This new material gives a better picture regarding the magnitude of the criminal deeds. Such information escalates the pressure on Diddy and his lawyers. One of the critical parts of the new evidence would relate to the so-called freak-offs. Many have testified witnesses that these rag-known vans, with the aid of Diddy, transport commercial workers across the states. The FBI files consistently depict a criminal activity meant to enforce submission and authority over vulnerable members/employees by illegal substances, force, and other tendencies of coercion. Further, new information concerning the direct implication of Diddy in the alleged trafficking ring has emerged. He is also alleged to have been captured by electronic gadgetry following his engagement in and plotting these operations. Authorities also discovered other incriminating things, including illicit and related accessories that were used during these various events that were found in properties associated with Diddy during FBI sieges in Miami and California. Due to these guidelines, the legal system has been challenged to come up with an adjustment on Diddy's role in the matter. It has gone from a story based on several incidents never proven real to an infection proven real to an infestation and occasion of a complex criminal ring led by Diddy. It finds even more support in the prosecution case and exposes significant problems with the defense strategy of the guns track after the resignation of Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo. The FBI has also associated this new material with another claim of physical assault, including one of the most viral cases with Cassie Ventura, whereas earlier Diddy was not involved in it, which could be seen from the video that was initially released. In this video, he has been implicated, and with additional testimonies, it becomes really difficult for him to explain from Meyer. It could also widen the probe because federal agents are now interested in other conspirators and victims. Local police are encouraging other persons of interest in the case to come forward. They believe that when faced with stronger evidence, they will speak out. For Diddy, this is a serious setback. His defense will now have to start responding to these new allegations and handling the PR disaster that comes with these revelations. Its release has increased public concern and further eroded his weak reputation with outlets and public opinion, often considering him guilty even before he is proven so at trial. With most details regarding the investigation conducted by the FBI out in the open, it now becomes evident that Puff's trial war has gone to the next level. The findings could alter the outcomes of the case, because Diddy's fate and the future interaction between celebrity culture and legal responsibility would be set on such a massive scale, the media's reaction and public perception. In Diddy's case, the sight of new evidence has helped fuel this speculation and attention through the media. There have been many articles written about the indictment in major newspapers and magazines of the country that give an appalling picture of the conduit Puff Diddy as an organizer of a racket and teen exploitation as well as physical violence. Top press has not only reported the crucial aspects of the case, but has also emphasized the freak-off parties and the words of the alleged victims, which contributed to the development of public interest in the scandal. The intercoms have become an arena where people are divided in disputing accusations. Many people have claimed surprise and disbelief, much more so for Diddy, who has long been associated with the public image of a businessman and record label owner. Surely, for years, Diddy presented himself as an extremely wealthy man, philanthropist, and a successful businessman, but allegations against him paint a totally different picture. This image contradicts what many have heard and believed about him, which is why many have changed their minds about him. On the other hand, some people do not believe in the allegations against Diddy, arguing that the evidence was provided when the accused was most powerful financially and politically. Defenders of the rapper explained that the media is blowing the story out of proportion as it tries to emphasize the most shocking details to draw people's attention. So this pitting has only been deepened, given the continued release of information about him, with members of the society supporting or condemning him. The media coverage has also impacted other personalities related to Diddy, such as P. Diddy's entourage members. Most of his colleagues, friends, and former business partners have cut off ties with him and released statements expressing disgust at the charges. Some other companies with which Diddy has had some sort of business deal, whether endorsement or otherwise, have made the mutual decision to wait until further notice pending some issues related to the artist. So as the case rose to the limelight, mass communication platforms retraced earlier accusations and scandals concerning Diddy. These needs were compounded by old rumors and legal cases that have come up again to add to the flames. Together with the criminal records events that are depicted above, along with other resourceful evidence brought before society has time to paint a picture depicting Diddy as a criminal beyond any reasonable doubt, thus compounding the task of defending him in the eye of the law. Another area that has been influenced by this fierce media coverage is the legal process that Diddy and his defense team are experiencing as they battle to control the flow of information to the media as they seek to defend their boss. God forbid any new information hits the public domain. Every unturned stone puts the pressure back on Diddy, his lawyers, and his image. Be it biased or exaggerated, it is evident that this media coverage will be instrumental in the developmental development of the case, the trial, and the future reputation and livelihood of P. Diddy and functions other than solely the musical. Impact on Diddy's business empire. The consequences of the new FBI evidence go far beyond his personal life and compelled negative repercussions for his multi-million-dollar business ventures. This man is into various businesses, which include music, fashion, beverages, and media, among others. And all these businesses of Diddy are in danger mainly due to the allowance of such legal cases. Companies and sponsors must be cutting their ties with Diddy for the dreadful accusations alone. Partnerships with brands like Ciroc and De Leon Tequila have gained much for his wealth, and these too may be affected by a change in public opinion. Some other media outlets have already reported that Diddy's advertisers and cooperators are beginning to quietly distance themselves from their association with him because they are concerned about the long-term implications of association with someone under such serious charges. The entertainment mogul's reputation as a business success story is threatened by the prospect of financial loss due to this scandal. However, His influence was not limited to business relationships, but also how the music industry has been affected. Diddy's pending charges have certainly shadowed his great achievements as a music producer and artist. Some artists who used to work with him, including some highly exposed ones, are beginning to keep a distance from controversy. This is particularly set to taint his influence in the long run with the industry, whether in collaborations or other future projects. Controversy might also spill into Diddy's other media businesses, such as the Revolt TV network. After all, he is the founder of the platform for urban culture and music. As the charges engulf and rock the headlines, the anxiety about the network's likelihood of maintaining credibility and attracting advertisers will increase. Given that he was the figurehead for the network, his never-ending court troubles might severely mar the image and reputation of Revolt within the media world. Even Diddy's business interests are currently speculative and long-term. His net worth is huge, but a protracted trial and possible convictions will surely give him heavy financial penalties, lawsuits, and asset seizures. Clouds of business prospects darken the future for his investors and partners, with skepticism of further transactions from his side. Charges against Diddy raise broader questions about accountability within the entertainment industry. After all, the more each new sordid detail of his crimes comes to light and surface, the more pressure such things create on the industry to stand up against such behavior. Enough is yet to happen. This can only send industry leaders further from Diddy, perhaps to the point where they will tell the world that Diddy's empire will never recover from this damage. Ultimately, though, the new evidence unearthed by the FBI has jeopardized Diddy's freedom and put at risk the huge business empire he spent decades constructing. Now, whether his ventures can absorb the hit or not, time will tell, but he certainly has a road ahead that does not seem smooth sailing for the once untouchable mogul. Legal defense and public perception. In the face of escalating legal problems for Diddy, his legal defense comes under crucial scrutiny, trying to filter through the growing evidence. As recently revealed, Mark Agnifilo, Diddy's lawyer, insists that his client is innocent, but the new development from the FBI creates a litany of challenges for the defense team. These charges are potent and indeed, racketeering and trafficking. Fighting back against the public's growing perception of guilt for such crimes is extremely challenging. Public perception is massively significant in these cases when a defendant is as influential and popular as Diddy. Agnifilo attempts to argue that some incidents, including the infamous freak-offs, were consensual. Numbers aside, bring another narrative. Many are defending the victims, who detail a pattern of manipulation, abuse, and coercion over many years. During the trial of the case, Diddy's defense will possibly question the prosecution's version of this incident as a non-consensual act, and attempt to shift focus on the consensual nature of adult relationships, as they argue. However, according to experts, to the detriment of Diddy, the evidence that the FBI has gathered is sure to be damaging most, especially the recordings. Told the fact that the actions were consensual is very hard to threats when threats, blackmail, or abuse of power are brought into the fray as coercive measures. Furthermore, public sentiment is normally guided by the visibility of victims coming out in the open. And the more that comes out, the harder it might be for Diddy's lawyers to keep up the narrative of innocence. He used public relations as a means of defense. For all the years, Diddy has cultivated a clean image on the public platform as an entrepreneur and philanthropist. However, the severity of the allegations has started to bleed his reputation even while his lawyers defend him in court. According to public relations experts, Diddy's team must manage the fallout in both the court and public eye with QUITS, because losing the battle of public opinion may destroy his career. Diddy's lawyers are likely to claim procedural errors, too, hoping to invalidate as much of the evidence as possible that was obtained by the FBI during their raids. If they can prove any part of the investigation was mishandled or that evidence was obtained illegally, they could suppress important elements of the case. However, the breadth and scope of charges against him will be a tall order. Public opinion, in concert with the machinery of the law, may decide the fate of these kinds of celebrity-friendly cases. Just as Diddy's legal team starts preparing for what may turn out to be a long, hard slog in the courthouse. Public opinion may already be shifting against the mogul, to leaving his defenders to fight in the courtroom and the broader narrative landscape. The media's role in shaping the case. Conversely, publicity over Diddy's case was pivotal in forming public opinion. From main news sites to social media, the story has been featured on every headline. Thus, each twist and turn of evidence calls for more talk and speculation. Sensational reporting and the public's interest in celebrities being involved in scandals add fuel to the fire further in the scrutinization of Diddy and his legal team. Public figures are judged in their peculiar judgment in the court of public opinion, largely because the media can shape the narratives that pan out. In Diddy's instance, headlines spoke not only about specifics of the law, but also about him, his legacy as a music mogul, and his presence and influence in the fashion world. This has led to a media storm where the least development is seen as an opportunity to inflate and dissect the spotlight between crime and celebrity status. Throughout, media portrayals have ranged from straight reportage of the facts to sensationalistic pieces designed to attract the largest reading and viewing audiences. Tabloid journalism, like reporting, centers on the nastiest allegations, such as so-called freak-offs and allegations of outright physical abuse, very things that make headlines but which can ultimately prejudice opinion against Diddy. Diddy's decadent lifestyle has been followed in several news outlets that connect his wealth and power, and what is presumed to be his sense of entitlement along with alleged crimes. This has heightened news reporting several times because opinions, conspiracy theories, and moral judgments still go viral among users. Opinion of influencers and other public figures make their thoughts about the case with their sense of it, not minding the intricate processes of law that actually happen. This immediacy in discourse challenges Diddy's defense, for probable jurors may be influenced by a preconceived notion, and prejudice can seep into the judicial process. The focus of the media also creates distortion. Reporters and commentators, direct or indirect, shape how facts are perceived. Selective reporting, picking up certain items of evidence, or highlighting the most salacious aspects of a case, gives the public understanding in one direction and suggests guilt even before a verdict is heard. So combined with Diddy, the narration of the young man underlines trafficking, physical abuse, and racketeering, which makes it quite hard to dislodge from one's mind, even as his lawyers work to perfect a defense. Media involvement in the Diddy case is as high as the treatment bestowed upon his accusers. From sympathetic portrayals to strong skepticism, the sufferers at Diddy's hands have been reported accordingly. Their mixed representation adds complexity to the case as the public opinion is divided into people sympathizing with victims and those believing Diddy is being unjustly targeted. In the final analysis, the media's reporting on Diddy's case underlines the larger question of how fame and power influence the judicial process and public opinion. Reporting under the media banner during this trial will ensure that the pace of the conversation remains warm, and that reporting is not confused with entertainment. The legal and public aftermath. So nothing but controversy is trailed behind the lawsuit against Diddy. Those implications, however, bring much more weight into the courtroom as opposed to outside of it, with racketeering, trafficking, and abuse allegations creating a ripple effect that has infected more than just his personal life, but also the industries he was affiliated with. The case further reassesses their relations with the mogul, some affiliate with the controversy, while others take caution to remain neutral. Meanwhile, Diddy's attorneys continue to battle in court, preparing for what may well be a long, hot legal fight. The defense could instead focus on discrediting some of the major pieces of prosecution evidence and prove that the consensual nature of freak-offs is a major argument against the charges. The prosecution might, therefore, increase their efforts as they expect to receive witnessing testimonies and possibly forensic evidence, which shall put forth the charges of abuse and trafficking. In reality, the judgment will determine Diddy's future and set a precedent for how celebrities will handle such cases worldwide. This incident elicits mixed public reaction, with people still sticking to the side of Diddy, stating faith in his innocence. In contrast, others have quickly condemned him, merely illustrating a broader trend that registers a cultural transformation toward holding the mighty accountable over misuse and abuse allegations. It is a case about critical questions of the intersection of fame, power, and justice without regard to the verdict that might be reached. In this case, The public will observe how case precedent sets a precedent for handling celebrities who commit such grievous crimes. It extends to further scrutiny of cases of exploitation and abuse within the context of the entertainment world. There will surely be legal results cited in public discussions over the years because it will serve as a reference point for high-profile cases. The long-term consequences of Diddy's legacy remain to be seen at this juncture. So being convicted to the point could permanently tarnish his legacy with decades of musical excellence. On the other hand, if he is acquitted, Diddy might still have a chance to mend his image, and the alleged incident will probably tarnish his public profile forever. Either way, it marks a telling moment in the life and career of Sean Diddy Combs that might potentially redefine how accountability is perceived by both judicial systems and the public. As its pages evolve in high-profile case development and media pressure, it will stun us with the complex search for justice, celebrity culture, and the dark face of power. The world waits in awe to see how it all plays out and what lasting impact this will have on Diddy and the entertainment industry.